There's something quite uncanny about PC tech in the sense that it advances way fast. It's not bound by the measures that you see on console. Now, this video is not disparaging console in any way. It's just showing what the reality is in terms of tech advancement and why I think Microsoft is taking their Xbox division to, according to the rumors, try to release another console in a shorter time period than PlayStation has done. PlayStation did a console refresh, and more than likely, they're probably going to be coming with a new console maybe in 2028. So probably a whole 8-year cycle, while it seems like Xbox wants to do a 6-year cycle. There is something that they recognize, and there's something that I want for some of you who play on the Xbox platform to also recognize. The thing is, Xbox is taking technology and basically positioning itself to already be fully prepared when technological shifts are happening, and their gaming being on things like cloud, mobile, and so on and so forth is also something that they're working on. I've seen a lot of Xbox players say this is pretty much put them in a position where they don't care about the Xbox console or whatnot. That is a hyper PlayStation fan talking point. They are lying and gaslighting you. Or maybe somebody who says that they're an Xbox fan, a fake Xbox fan, comes out and says something like that. The reality is right now, when you go and look at this CES that's going on, and you look at a lot of the technology that's actually being unveiled with the RTX 50 series, and the pricing is where it actually is very shocking at the end of the day. I mean, if you think about what PlayStation did this past year with its mid-gen refresh, it sold a $700 console without the disk drive, pretty much reducing its value proposition, number one. And then number two, it sold a anniversary edition of the same console, and it asked you for about $1,000 to do that. Now, what that means is they've basically gotten some information to test the market, and they've seen that there are loyal diehards that will buy it. Now, this is not a video to talk about whether or not you should buy it. I'm just saying that that particular console that whoever may have bought it did go ahead and buy was already obsolete technology when it was being presented. And looking at what is available right now, especially on the NVIDIA end, is basically a slap to the face of that kind of tech. And the price points that they're asking, $1299, $1599, in case of the RTX, 5070, and even probably even other devices. And this is not to even say when they start to get much more competitive and prices start to drop. Because again, these are going to be preliminary prices. Yeah, everyone's going to be trying to get your money on the high end. You shouldn't jump into buying these things yet. You just wait it out a little bit. Once the competition gets really, toxic, then you're going to see some really good pricing if you're interested in terms of picking one of these things up. And at this point, you're going to be getting hardware and getting performance that console's not going to touch for a number of years. In fact, knowing now that PlayStation and Xbox are basically dialing in to AMD, then you know for sure that they're not going to be able to touch anything like the neural rendering that is available in the 50 series. Now, 50 series hype aside, just the pricing alone for some of the devices, because man, even in the laptop category, I've been fortunate to be able to get some sense of how these laptops perform in the 40 series and what their price points were. If you bought maybe say an Acer Predator 4080, say sometime around last year or 2023, you were paying like $2,400 for a 4080. Now a 5070 is going to be able to basically, fudge its way to that kind of performance using, frame generation and all of that stuff in terms of video games. And you can do so for basically half the price. That is insane. Now, Xbox, on the other hand, having positioned themselves to say, oh, it's an Xbox, has already given them what I think is a better position and a better play than a lot of the other contenders out there, because now they're not necessarily trying to, in terms of, accomplish something. They already have accomplished something where it doesn't matter what tech they make. It doesn't matter what hardware they make. It doesn't matter what hardware they can afford to make or not make. They have basically gone on there and stamped their flag on your existing hardware or the existing hardware whenever it comes out with better technological advancement to say, we're going to go ahead and support Xbox on this particular journey. Now, what's crazier is they're already there with Windows. I see a lot of people saying, oh, Steam is now going to, basically allow for its OS to be available on handhelds and stuff like that. Basically Steam just announced recently, we're excited to share that the SteamOS is expanding beyond Steam Deck with the newly announced Lenovo Legion Go S powered by SteamOS. This is the first officially licensed device to ship with our operating system, and we're continuing to add compatibility for more devices. Learn more here. You know what's crazy? Some people have interpreted this to be that Steam beat, my Xbox to the punch, when in reality, there was already Windows. In fact, Windows is now has been compatible, with the Steam Deck. Steam even released AMD drivers that will be compatible for the hardware with the operating system itself. I installed it at one point on my Steam Deck and I was using it. So you could also from there go in and access your Game Pass games. So Xbox, in terms of, where they could be, was already basically being, in a sense, umbrellaed under Windows to be able to be on all of these handhelds. So now they're making these handhelds, some of them coming with SteamOS, some of them coming with just regular Windows. When you say regular Windows, well, it's Windows that has access to everything else. So even though people are talking about, Xbox possibly bringing the Xbox app and all that, I think that's more like for people who play on console, who are wanting the comfort of the Xbox app to be on a device so that they don't want to do anything. And I think, again, Xbox is just carefully training and carefully introducing its, audience and its community into that one thing that they're basically going to be gunning for. It's actually very interesting at the end of the day to go ahead and see something like that, to be very honest, and see even Steam now, in a sense, following Xbox. You see what it is? You see, they are now looking and saying, man, we need to hedge our market share because at the end of the day, we need to be able to keep Steam users in our ecosystem as much as we possibly can, or supported ecosystems. And even if we may not be able to keep them on a Steam Deck, when they go to another hardware, let them have Steam available to them. Everyone is commending this, but Xbox has gotten dragged for the exact same thing. And people have said and basically fomented lies at the end of the day. So this SteamOS thing kind of validates what Xbox is, in a sense, kind of pointing at. Now, Xbox could bring another Xbox, OS or whatever to these devices, but I don't think it really has been necessary at the end of the day. Just being able to access Windows by itself has already done the job. A much more scaled down and a much more directed version is basically what it is. In fact, check this out. Someone is saying here on this particular thing that modern smart TVs should have SteamOS. I wonder who did TVs as a way for you to be able to access their games, and the whole internet lost their minds. That's straight up Xbox tax. People are starting to actually jump on this stuff and say, hey man, why don't we do this for this? Why don't we do this for that? Why don't we do this for this? Because again, a lot of the people who are making, comments, who were being the critics of these particular moves by Xbox, were fomenting lies to basically make and downplay everything Xbox did. Now they're exposed. You see, this is the beauty of technology in terms of the way it advances so fast that anybody who's not paying attention is going to look like, somebody from the Stone Ages. Because again, you can look at sound technological advancement, and you can look at technological advancement that could be detrimental as well. And so at the end of the day, you as an Xbox user, you're already getting the best experience from a primary perspective, and everything else is Xbox going out there to look for possibilities, to look for other customers and meet them where they are so that they can get access to that particular area. And they've already done a good job doing that. PlayStation is behind. They don't have anything of that sort in terms of, these hardware devices. Even GeForce Now has finally made a native app for the Steam Deck. Everybody is going where the hardware is because that's where the market is going. Xbox is validated in its approach. Microsoft has basically exposed a lot of these so-called critics that thought that you had to have the conventional console model to be able to make it out here. Talk to me in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching the video. Appreciate you guys' time and audience. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.